The stadium of Ironclad FC was a cathedral of thunder and steel. For 15 years, Julian Vane had been its heartbeat. He wasn't the star striker or the billionaire owner. He was the tactical mind, the lead assistant coach who saw the game in slow motion. He lived in the video room, breathing data, sleep-deprived but brilliant. But football in 2026 had become a business of optics, not just goals. The owner, Marcus Sterling, a man who viewed players as stocks and coaches as disposable software, brought in a new head coach, Victor Thorn. Victor was a superstar coach, handsome, loud, and obsessed with expensive transfers. "Your methods are archaic, Julian," Victor sneered during the mid-season board meeting. He tossed a thick binder of Julian's defensive transitions onto the floor. "The fans want flair. They want $100 million signings. Your data-driven discipline is boring. It belongs in a library, not a locker room." Julian looked at the binder, then at Marcus Sterling. "Victor's strategy leaves the backline exposed. If we sell our youth academy to fund these transfers, the club will lose its soul. We will collapse by the 79th minute of every major game." Marcus Sterling didn't even look up from his phone. "Victor is the future. You're a relic, Julian. We're terminating your contract. Effective immediately. And don't bother applying to any other top-tier clubs. I've already let the league know you've lost your touch." Julian was escorted out by security, his box of belongings, the only thing he had left after 15 years of loyalty. As he walked past the training ground, he saw the young academy players, the boys he had mentored, looking confused through the fence. Victor was already shouting at them to stop thinking and start running. For 6 months, Julian stayed in the shadows. He didn't go to the big clubs. He went to the gravel pitches of the suburbs. He started a small, independent scouting agency called the Underdogs. He didn't look for the fastest runners or the strongest kids. He looked for the broken ones. The midfielder with a slight limp who had a 99% passing accuracy. The goalkeeper who was too short but could predict a striker's movement 3 seconds before the shot. The striker who was too slow but never took a wrong step. Julian built a team of rejects, players who had been blacklisted or ignored by the big academies like Ironclad FC. He trained them in a warehouse, using a custom-built AI system that tracked every micro movement. He didn't just teach them to play football, he taught them to play the gaps. "They see a ball," Julian told his team, pointing to a holographic display. "We see a sequence. They play with ego. We play with geometry. When the time comes, we won't just beat them. We will make them look like they've never seen a ball before." The opportunity came in the National Cup. A small, unknown team named the Ghosts, funded by Julian's life savings and local sponsors, climbed the ranks. The media laughed. The experts called them a fluke. Until the quarterfinals, the draw was announced. The Ghosts versus Ironclad FC. The night of the match, the stadium was a sea of ironclad blue. Marcus Sterling and Victor Thorn were in the VIP box, laughing and drinking expensive wine. They viewed the game as a public training session. "Look at them," Victor laughed, pointing at Julian's team. "A bunch of nobodies led by a ghost. This will be 5-0 by halftime." Julian stood on the touchline, wearing his old faded ironclad jacket, inside out. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked at his tablet. The whistle blew. For the first 30 minutes, Ironclad FC attacked relentlessly. They had the $100 million stars. They had the speed. But every time they reached the final third, they hit a wall. Julian's slow defenders were always exactly where the ball was going to be. It was like they were reading Victor's mind. At the 70-minute mark, exactly as Julian had predicted months ago, Ironclad's star players began to tire. Their ego-driven sprinting had burned their lungs. The flair was gone. "Now," Julian whispered into his mic. The Ghosts transformed. They didn't run faster. They moved better. One-touch passes, perfect triangles, a symphony of movement that left Ironclad's defenders spinning. In 5 minutes, The Ghost scored twice. The stadium went silent. Marcus Sterling stood up, spilling his wine. Victor Thorne was screaming at the referee, his face purple with rage. The final whistle blew. The Ghosts, 3. Ironclad FC, 0. The aftermath was a bloodbath in the press. Julian didn't celebrate wildly. He walked to the center circle and shook the hands of his rejects. Victor Thorne tried to confront him in the tunnel. "You got lucky. It was a tactical fluke." Julian stopped and looked Victor in the eye. He reached into his pocket and handed him the same binder Victor had thrown on the floor months ago. "It wasn't luck, Victor. It was the 70-minute. I told you. You don't build a team with money. You build it with respect for the game." Marcus Sterling approached Julian, his voice trembling with a forced smile. "Julian, maybe I was hasty. Come back. I'll fire Victor. I'll triple your salary. We can make Ironclad the greatest again." Julian looked at the massive Ironclad logo on the wall, then back at his team of nobodies waiting for him at the bus. "I didn't come here to get my job back, Marcus," Julian said calmly. "I came here to show you that the soul of this club didn't belong to the building. It belonged to the people you threw away. I've already bought the land for a new academy, and half of your sponsors, they've already called me." Julian walked out of the stadium. He wasn't a bench warmer anymore. He was the architect of the new era. Ironclad FC collapsed within a year, buried under debt and bad signings. Julian's academy, however, became the gold standard of the world. He proved that in the game of life, the most dangerous person is the one who has been told they are obsolete, because they have nothing left to do but win.